Hey everybody, I'm Tiffany Foy. Welcome to the Rambling Gypsy Podcast.
Oh, we're already starting.
We are starting.
Oh.
We are here. You're on my porch.
You have a beautiful porch, by the way.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. So, you guys, this is Matt Castillo. Today is Matt Castillo Day.
I love
Check
it.
out my hat if you want to see my hat. He's got some amazing merch. But
Thank you.
yes, so this is my porch. This is where me and Kel tell we solve all the world's problems, and this is where we talk shit, and this is where we talk about all the goofy things that happen. And
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like that Tracy Lawrence song, If the World Had a Front Porch.
there you go. Yeah, we
Like we did
gossip,
back
we
then.
talk trash, and we
I love that. That's the best kind.
cry, we laugh, we whatever.
What,
So
what is that saying? It ain't talking shit if it's true.
there you go.
So
And you are my first guest on my
Really?
podcast.
well, thank you. What an honor.
I'm so excited that you're here.
Look, I've seen this place, but now that I'm engulfed now, this is beautiful, and I like being on the front porch.
Mm-hmm. It's
and
so good to hang out on the porch.
We're gonna get drunk on the front porch.
There you go.
I'm in.
Yes.
It's been a long week, so we're good.
So I want to. Matt Castillo is a musician, a Texas musician. Say that.
Artist, musician,
Entertainer.
go-getter.
What? There you go. There you go, you guys. And that might be a song.
That might be a song.
Might have heard that song.
An innuendo.
Yeah. So let's talk about who is Matt Castillo. Let's tell everybody. Let's introduce Matt Castillo, and let's start.
Start there.
Let's start. I want to know how did this whole thing start for you? When's the first time you picked up a guitar? When was the first time that you thought, you know what,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to do?
Well, go back to, I was born in Austin, Texas.
There
I
you
was
go.
raised in Edinburgh, Texas. And so my mom is a huge 90s country fan, right? So the story's just complicated. It just kind of goes back and forth. But I always remember listening to 90s country with my mom in the car, whether
Yeah.
it be, on the radio or just, probably show our age, like cassette tapes and CDs and stuff like that. So I always enjoyed opening up a CD and looking at the cover and then looking at the notes and like all
Yeah.
this. They had a bunch of pictures, and I guess, so I was like, this is awesome. And so when I moved down to the Valley, I moved with my aunt and uncle to get an education, and my mom was working 2 jobs, trying to put a roof over her head. Is just kind of hard. And growing up now, I kind of understand the sacrifice that she made for me
Right.
to get an education, to get all these things. So when I was in Edinburgh going to school, I leaned on 90s country,
Gotcha.
and it was still around, you
Right.
said all this stuff. So, but I woke up every day listening to it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll call my mom and I'll try to memorize the song. So if I
Right.
saw her during the holiday, like if it's spring break right now, so I'd be coming up to Austin, and we'd be in the car, and I'd try to learn all the songs that she liked, and
Mm-hmm.
to impress her, and so they kind of just became part of my everyday, like breathing.
Right.
90s was that. So when I got into high school, my sophomore year, I asked my mom for a guitar, and so one Christmas she came in, she handed me this guitar, and I was like, oh crap,
Yeah.
what are all these things? What are these frets? What are these? How do I figure
What do I
this
do
out?
with this thing?
And so I just started learning on my own, and my uncle had a book. I would go back home to Edinburgh, and my uncle had a book of chords, so I would memorize the chords and learn them, and then at the time you can print out lyrics and chord
Right.
sheets and learn. So the first song I ever learned on my guitar was Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old. So I remember playing that for my mom, and she was just, I don't know if she could hear me over the phone or not. but
Yeah.
I assumed that she was impressed.
Right.
So then that just kind of cultivated into more, and then my boys would come over, my friends would come over, and we'd jam out to all my favorite country covers. And so that just kind of started, and went into college. Fast forward, I go to college, and I'm not ready for college, and I get kicked out of college. I was on academic probation, and I skipped class, and I think my first semester I joined a fraternity, and then I got my grades at the end of the semester, and my GPA was 1.0, and
Hey.
I was like, holy crap.
You got something on the board there. I mean, at least you got something. That one was a big one.
That was a big one. Thank you to that teacher, that professor. Anyways, so that happened a few times because I was not ready, and so I got kicked out, and I lied to my aunt and uncle, and I lied to my mom and said, I just miss Austin. I didn't want to tell them I got kicked out of college.
Right.
But they probably knew. They just wanted to save me from
Their moms, I can promise you, they knew.
exactly. Right? So I get kicked out.
I have 3 boys. So
I lied. I said, I miss home. I want to go back. I want to start. So I go up to Austin. I go to ACC, and that's when I find Texas country. And so I was like, holy crap, what is this? So rebel, do your own thing, do your own way. And
did you know that was typical of Austin, or
no,
did you?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
What
at all.
made you head to Austin? Was it the school, or was it?
It was because my mom is from Austin, and so I just wanted to come home.
Got you. So it was just a tie between that being home and then
I just so happened
the bonus was music.
Yeah, I just happened to be the right place, right time, and
I
didn't even know that was going to be it. And so I started learning about the Randy Rogers band, the Jason Bowen with Stragglers, Stoney, Wade Bowen, all these guys.
Yes.
And then K-Vet used to have every Wednesday or something live at forgot the name of the place, but then it moved over to Nutty Brown. But I would listen to the radio. I said, what is this? And it would be just acoustic.
Right.
And then I found that, and I fell in love with that. I started learning. I remember I would put in the DVD Live at Billy Bob's, the Randy Rogers band, and I'd look at Randy playing his chords, and I'd try to emulate exactly what he's doing and learn it exactly the way he plays it. And so Randy was kind of the staple of the introduction of Texas country, and learned his whole album from start to finish.
Gotcha.
I knew all the songs. And even the deep cuts, the ones that were on YouTube. And I remember being at ACC and in the library or the computer doing doing homework. I'm listening and looking at YouTube videos of Texas country. He had one. Fort Worth was a fabulous waste of time that he had, and then he had another one as Well on My Way, and all these jams.
Yes.
So then a buddy of mine, when I was in Austin, I had to have a job, so I used to work at Team Spirit, Barton Creek Mall, and my buddy that I ended up knowing, his name is Jordan Daughtry. He was across his was a Foot Locker, and I saw somewhere on Facebook that he played guitar. I said, dude, do you play guitar?
Right.
And he's like, yeah. So, well, we got to jam out.
Yeah.
So we got together and we started playing. We started going to Nutty Brown and doing open mics. And that turned into a opportunity to open up for one of his buddies. So we traded off a song swap, and then that's when I got the bug. I was just like, this is awesome. How can I do this more? And were you
nervous when you had your very first, your first song swap? I mean, was that?
Oh, man. One thing that people need to understand about me, my biggest insecurity is singing. Like that's my biggest insecurity. I could do everything else, but singing wise, it's like so in that moment I was so nervous.
Right.
I was like cotton mouth.
I don't think so many people that as so many musicians that I know on the stage and off the stage, I don't think that so many people actually realize how different y'all are on stage and off the stage, that we don't understand that you do have insecurities, or that nobody even thinks, oh my goodness, I bet that just seems so natural when y'all are up there and you're playing. And I mean, I've seen you live, that it's just, but it's one of those things. You don't think about them puking before they get on the stage and thinking, holy shit, this is very real. Like there's people staring at me and it's just me. And
I was like, how many?
So that's a different gig, especially in a song swap situation.
I was like, how many whiskey cokes do I need to finally feel relaxed? That's not the way to do it, that turns into problems. But I got my first taste, and I was like, what do I got to do this? So long story short, I get my grades back up. I go back down to South Texas because I needed to finish college. It was a goal of mine to be the first one to graduate college in my family. Love it. So I that was really an inspiration for my mom and my aunt who helped raise me. So I did that, and I graduated, got my degree.
Attaboy.
And the day of graduation, later that day, we were going to go play this thing called the Pig Pachanga. And
what does that mean?
A pig party.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's like a bunch of people have barbecue. It's not really, there's really no pigs. It's just a pachanga. Another reason to drink, by the way. And so we're sitting in the kitchen.
So like a fiesta.
Yeah, big old fiesta. You
you go.
That's wild. I always like that. And I remember sitting on the counter, and I looked at my mom. I said, Mom, I've been really thinking, because at the time, forgot to mention this, when I was getting my degree, towards the very end, I had started a band in South Texas. I used to be called Matt and the Herdsman. And so me and the guys, we would go sell barbecue tickets to get enough money to make a record, our first record, Small Town Stories.
So what was the inspiration behind the Herdsman?
Well, the Texas music scene, all the episodes I ever saw were Jason Boland, the Stragglers, Wade Bowen,
And
Wes,
the-
you know,
yeah.
and Stone LaRue and the Arsenal. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh crap, maybe I need a name.
Maybe
so
you
it
need
used to be
Matt and
Matt Castillo and the Herdsman, but then it turned out to be just Matt and the Herdsman, and then I was like, okay. So that was that, and we sold a bunch of barbecue tickets to cut our first record, which was
Nice.
Small Town Stories. We
Yep.
put a couple stuff on radio, and so I was like, I really want to do this. Started playing around our scene and becoming kind of well known in our South Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember it was time to graduate, and so the day of graduation, I did all my stuff, and we had a show that night, and my mom went to the show, and so when we got back, I told her, Mom, I think I want to do this full time. I think I really want to try this. And, you know, that she kind of looked at me with a blank stare, and then the words that came out of her mouth were like, she said, then why in the fuck did I pay for your college?
I love your mom. I just had this conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, and we were talking about my, I've got 3 boys, and was talking about my middle son. It was the same deal. College is just not for it's just not for everyone, and it's kind of like me. I'm just not for. We're for some, but not for everyone, and that's just. But it was the same thing, and Gavin gave it a shot. He gave it a try. He was like, it's just. And I finally had that conversation. I said, look, Gav, if this is not your gig, it's okay. Me and my pocketbook and my financials, we're all okay with this. If you want to let's talk about it. And
let's
so
not burn it.
Let's just
burn
not. Let's just I can see this is not for you, and there's no point in hiding it. But
and college taught me a lot, being responsible, obviously, and finishing things and seeing things through. And I felt like I was never going to graduate. And my family had a running bet on me how long it was going to take me to graduate college. I won, and I should have gotten the money, but they didn't. Obviously, it's okay because they put it back in tuition.
Right.
And I remember, my mom struggling to put money in my bank account to pay for college. Like I remember those days, and my mom had to work. She had 2 jobs, and we had a emergency loan at the university, and you had like 30 days or 60 days to pay it, half up front. It was a pain in the ass. And I feel bad that I put my mom through that, but the idea was to get an education, and the diploma was for both of them, and for my aunt and my mom. And so I said, I want to do this full time, but I knew that I had the drive. Like I started when I was like 23, 24.
Right.
So I felt like I was a little bit more mature. Like I had goals, and I had all these things planned out, and so I just got into that rhythm of just doing it. And so when I told my mom, she was pissed, but I knew that I told her, I'll show you that it's not going to be a waste of time.
Right.
That what you put me through in college has taught me a lot about what I'm going to do outside of it.
She's got to be proud. I mean, the fact that you're saying how you got there, you started, you had a reality check. Somebody kicked you in the ass, whether it was you yourself or somebody, but you enough to go back and say, I'm going to finish what I started, but I'm going to take this guitar with me and do it is that is a very epic story. There's it takes a very strong will and not giving up, and the music business is very, very, very hard. It is very tough. It is
probably the toughest. I mean, because it's a lot of sitting and waiting, even though you are doing everything
right.
You're physically, mentally building, trying to go after those opportunities, but it still feels a lot like I always feel like they move the goalpost. You're almost there, and then nope.
Yep.
A little bit further, 10 more yards, 30.
Yep.
And you're like, holy crap.
Yep.
And then their highs and lows.
Changing the game.
I just remember, like I didn't know what this world, like what this life was going to be like, but I remember having a conversation with the man upstairs, and I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what you have planned for me, but I'll stick it out. Like, I know there's going to be some really good highs, and there's going to be some really, really low lows.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that. I know I can lean on you when it's really low, and I can be very thankful when it's really high, but I know it's going to mess with me. And it has mentally, if I'm being honest, it has fucked with me in my head, and I just keep pushing one more day. Just when I think I'm like, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, I'm done.
Something happens in the most positive way.
Exactly.
Like, that's the most coolest thing. It's like,
yeah.
I just put up my hands. I'm like, Lord, I'm done.
Yes.
Like, I'm
tapping
freaking
out.
tired. I'm tapping out. And all of a sudden, he's like, nope, not yet.
Exactly.
And then something wonderful happens. And I'm like, okay, I can keep going. This is
go.
enough fuel to keep me going another 6 months.
That's been a huge part of my my life as well. And it's, you know, I've had my hands in a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
and
that you do. You're a very good entrepreneur. Like
but
that.
I have found myself where I was like that a couple years ago, and you would think as many things that I have going on that, you know, how in the hell could you get bored or think you're losing yourself or you're tapping out like we're talking about. And
Agreed.
And I just reach out and I grab a hold of something or find something. I feel like I was losing my creativity and so boom, here we are.
The other thing too is I realized that I was like, I had to have a talk, like a heart to heart with myself, is like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to miss out on a lot of family opportunity stuff, like birthdays and graduations and events. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine. And I thought I was going to have a problem with it, but no, hey, me and the boys were going to go to Vegas and go, you know, have fun and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to be there, but I also do like making money, and playing country and playing music, and I like this job a lot more. It has its perks, but just stuff like that, or miss birthdays. And look, I can catch up on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook will catch me up. Instagram will do it. You know, all those other things would be fine. But it's been a journey. But I'm very happy with it. Please, I'm saying, but as a human being, mentally, it can be draining. It can be like you're not really moving. I always say I feel like my legs and my feet are just with concrete, and I'm moving my arms, but I'm not moving anywhere. Yeah. But when you take a step back, you're like, oh, I have come a long way.
I always think about Scooby-Doo and where he's trying to run, and he's just standing there and he's spinning, and then all of a sudden it takes forever, and then he just takes off. I'm like, sometimes I feel like I'm just standing there, and like you're saying, my legs are going, but I'm not getting anywhere.
Exactly. But I mean, I'm very blessed. I'm rich in other ways. I might be struggling. I'm a struggling musician trying to just. Seems like the only thing coming in are bills, and my money keeps leaving me. I don't even get a chance to. Well,
if it makes you feel any better,
but
it's whether you're a musician or me or what. Yeah. It's
always something.
Yes. Yeah. It's always something, and that's just the way the world is. What it is. Yeah. It is. Yes.
That's just the reality of it. But I'm very happy, and like where I'm at now, I'm so happy that I'm here now. I've had a wonderful group of supporting people in my life that I'm very, very thankful for. Yeah. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here where I'm at. Right. You know, and I owe it to them. And so I'm very thankful. And I always tell them, thank you for putting up with my ass, even the days that I could be, anyhow. Yeah. But it's been a cool journey. So now we're releasing new music. We have a lot more music coming up, but that's kind of how I started everything.
I love that.
Just kind of did it on our own, DIY.
Yeah.
Till you can't anymore. So I've worn a lot of hats. The booking hat, the manager, the tour manager, being able to manage a band with 4 other personalities. Trying to have the perfect harmony doesn't always work out, but you find the right people to come in and everybody, it's a page in a book, page in a story. Right. Just turn the page and
transition in that type in the music business.
Yeah.
Is difficult. I mean, not only they're your family. I mean, you guys, when you're hitting the road, you're hitting the road, and it makes it, in a bigger business or whatever. I mean, if you don't like your coworker, it's okay. They're going to their other office or their whatever.
Well, that's what
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when you're loading up in a van and you're going down the road and you're thinking,
you're in a box
this
car
guy's
for
being a
6
fucking
hours.
prick, man. Yeah.
Then I gotta get it, look at him when I'm playing.
Right. And I mean, and then you want to get rid of that person. You got to change. It's a totally different ball game in the music business if you think about it. Not only do you have to replace the talent, you've got to think about vocals. You've got to think about harmonies. You've got to think about there's so
when you're playing
many
a show,
attributes and things that you need to think about when
I'm playing a show. There's 100 things going in my mind as I'm playing the show. Like, what am I going to do tomorrow? What do I got?
Right.
I'm saying I'm on autopilot sometimes. And I know that's kind of bad to say, but I mean, you're looking at the crowd, you're reading the crowd, you're reading the room, And then all of a sudden, this happens. Somebody misses a note. You're like, okay, do we need to go?
Pops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we need to go back? It's just moving things, but you give the best you can. But that's true. It's like a million things going through your mind. But no, it's been a fun journey. I'm very happy. And so if I could do it all over again, I would. I'm glad I started.
That was a question I was going to ask you. If you could do it, I mean, would this be what Matt Castillo? Would you? Yeah, it would definitely be the music thing.
Definitely, I love it. I thoroughly enjoy trying to write songs.
So how long have you been doing this?
Well, if you count COVID, it'd be 10 years.
Nice.
But if you don't count it, then it'd be 9.
You got to count it.
Count it.
That was a hellacious time, but yeah.
I really enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss it. I enjoyed that time in my life. It's cool, but now I want to go out and really make something of myself. So I also like what I'm doing now.
Right.
The goal is to not be just a Texas act. The goal is to be a national act. To go far and wide. Go all the way to the East Coast to the West Coast and in between. Fly over states, and just play country music and just change people's lives. Like make them be happy. Write good songs.
Yes, music definitely is a
timeless songs, and which is hard, but that is the challenge, and so hopefully we'll be able to accomplish that. Well, hopefully we have.
Right.
And put out something new for people to listen to. So
you're on the road all year long?
All year long.
All year long.
I think we did 125 shows last year.
Nice.
I think we want to do 135 this year.
Nice.
And I enjoyed it. Sometimes shows get canceled and you're like, man, but then you take that time to just relax.
Yeah.
Have fun. Go hang out with your boys or something.
Right.
Boys, I'm in town,
Yeah.
So, yeah, life on the road. I know that a bigger artist will do 4-month span and then have like 2 weeks off and then another 4 months. Eventually I'd love to get to that point, but right now it's like every weekend we're on the road. And so like this past week we played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Nice.
And then drove up today to be on your wonderful podcast. So
Yay.
We've done a lot of shows. We've done 11 shows in 12 days at one point, and we've done, so 4 is easy to me. It's becoming easy, but before it was like, oh my God, that's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really fun. So life on the road teaches you a lot of some very valuable lessons.
So you were down at the Keys with us.
Yeah.
So
US.
And that was your first Keys trip?
No, that was my third. But first
that
time.
was the first time for that.
That time for that January.
Right.
We've always gone in July.
Okay.
So
Yep,
my third time, but it was the first time there in July. So, they invited me to go out. I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was great. So it was the best 2 weeks to start the new year.
Right. Right.
Didn't have it. We had a great New Year's Eve show, and then we had a couple of days off. The next thing you know, we're like, oh crap, we got to go to Florida.
Yeah.
Had to drive out there. So it was a good 22-hour haul, but
yeah. It's a drive.
Once you get out there, you're fine. So, yeah, it was a good time. I enjoy the smoking tuna.
Yeah.
And Key Western Fest.
Yeah.
So
it is a very good time.
It was great.
I love it.
A lot of drinking.
It is. Yeah.
Not on my part. But.
Well, we all have to do our jobs and we have to help and,
You got to get some liquid
We got to support.
No, the other cool thing about it, because I was telling management, I was like, man, what are we going to do out there? Like, what... Yeah. We're just going to play the same old set again and again? Like, what are we really going to get out of it?
Were you concerned about that? Because you did play, you played 11 shows at the same bar.
Yeah, my concern was these people don't want to hear original music.
Right.
They just want a jukebox of a band to play nothing but covers. And I don't like that.
Right.
I work too hard to write my music, put it out, spend money making an album. I am going to play my music. I'm going to play everything, even if I have to lie about it. But we had a small section in the set, 4 or 5 covers that I love to play, 90s, that match what we were doing. And you know what? Everybody enjoyed it. They enjoyed the original show. When I had a few people come up and ask for some covers, so I just lied. I go, hey, this is a John Anderson deep cut. It was actually my song.
Right.
And so I played it. They're like, can you name that song? They couldn't. Or they did. They lied.
Yeah.
Some like drunk ass.
Yeah.
So I did that. I had to do that like maybe 4 or 5 times.
Right.
But I think it was the last night. We ended the last night at the Key Western, and there was a guy in the crowd, and I something told me about this feeling. And prior to that, before we took off, I was telling management, I said, I don't even know if this is going to be like what are we doing? Blah, blah,
Right,
blah. And he goes,
right.
Matt, there's opportunity waiting for you there.
Yeah.
Go.
Right.
You're gonna regret if you don't go.
If you don't go.
And I said, okay. So I went down there. Not only did I get to meet you and network, but a lot of things came out of Key West that have put me here today. And one of them was a guy that really has my back in country music. Is Saving Country Music. And his name is Trigger. And he was like, Matt is the traditionalist artist. I might be screwing it up, but criminally overrated in the business. Criminally overrated.
Criminally overrated.
Not overrated. Criminally overseen or under. I don't know. I gotta pull it up. I pull this thing up because I don't want to get it wrong. Because I'm over here trashing myself.
Well, I want to.
I want to get this right.
I want to analyze what's.
I'm gonna get this right. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Castillo continues to be the one of the greatest traditionalists of our time who is criminally overlooked in the industry.
Criminally overlooked.
Yeah. One of the greatest traditionalists of our time who is criminally overlooked. Overlooked. And I said, fuck yeah, that's right. So that motivated me. We were coming back from Florida. I was like, I'm going to be just honest. I'll be like, they are right. And it's just a matter of time.
Isn't that crazy how I mean, if that wouldn't have happened, if he wouldn't have sent this to you, isn't it? What I'm trying to say is, isn't it kind of crazy how words, just a little word like that, just a little bit of inspiration, or just something that you don't necessarily see yourself, and somebody from the outside sees that in you, and
motivating as hell.
Right, and it turns around, and you're like, holy shit! Well, that just made me think.
Yeah, you
know?
understand. You see, it's hard to look at other people and see their career where it's going. You're like, man, when is it my turn? You know, like in that regard. But but everybody has their own path, and so to be overlooked, that's the frustrating part, because I know we have a great show. We know we have great music. Right. I know that we have all these things that we worked really hard for behind the scenes for this exact purpose and reason. Right. So it's just it's who you know. It's I don't know. I'm not saying that they're gatekeepers out there, but I don't know. Who knows? There's people in the way, people not in the way. Right. But to me, to have him say that about me, I was very inspired, and I was like, it really was. Okay, cool. Somebody's looking out for me, and I felt that more now that more people are, and we just came in running and gunning, and we're like, screw it, we'll just keep our head down. Exactly. We'll keep our head down, and we're gonna keep rocking. Something good has to come our way. It has to. We work so hard to spend all this time.
Throw enough gum at the wall, something's gonna stick. Yeah, eventually.
Everything is well thought out from top to bottom. Right. Well thought out, from the shows, from how we start the show to how we end it, and in between it is well thought out to give the best live music experience that you see a show of mine. And that also transitions over to the business side. It's very well thought out. It's very strategic, because we don't want to miss an opportunity. Right. Or we want to strike when the iron's hot. And we're not lazy. I hate, there's times I'm like at home being lazy, but I'm not. Right. I'm thinking of something. Yeah. It's always moving. I
understand that,
but
wholeheartedly.
But to be criminally overlooked, I thought that was the sweetest and most honest thing anybody said. And so
I love that description.
Yeah. And so we kind of just...
And I love that it took you to a level that you needed to be, or that you needed to. It was a time when you hear it exactly, that you needed to hear that.
Yeah, it's like, because you go to Key West and you're like, man, I'm not an artist for the Mile Zero. I'm just the after party. Right. So how do I play that game? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to play my music.
I love the fact that you said that you went down there and you had 11 shows, and it was at the same venue, and a lot of people just don't think, like you did, how do I change this up? How do I get creative? Right. I mean, that's a lot. Yeah. Back to back 11 shows, but then you've got to think, I mean, George ain't gonna be sitting there. If George's sitting there for 11 days, he's got a VIP seat, and it better have his name on it, and
exactly. But the other thing too, they weren't all the same people those 11 days.
Exactly. So that's what I was trying to say. Yeah,
it gave me peace of mind. Like, well, I'm gonna see somebody that I've never seen before who should deserve to have the same type of show. Right. And I talked to the owners, and I was like, Mandy,
give me some insight on what am I walking into.
Yeah, she just said, do you. Do you. You're great. You know what you're doing. Just play your show. And I said, well, thank you for that. And so we did.
Right.
And I got to give a big shout out to my guys, my boys in the band. I'm going to tell you this right now. I love these guys. They are not complainers.
How long have you and the guys been together?
For two of the guys, my lead guitar and bass, they probably been with me for about 3 months. The drummer we just brought on, and we just brought on a pedal steel guy. But everybody has something unique to bring to the table. But one thing we all have in common is we don't bitch and complain.
I love that.
I love that about these boys.
Yeah.
They were there for 11 days, and we all walked to the tuna because where they had us staying was miles away,
Right.
which is fine.
Right.
But we walked every day to the gig.
Yeah.
Like it was very humbling and cool and fun to kind of get to know the boys. But every time we went to the show, these boys turned it on.
Yeah.
At the moment they got off stage, they let loose. They never complained. They never, I was like, when's that shoe going to drop?
Right. That's impressive.
And they didn't. And when we left, I told them, I think the last day I told them, boys, one thing that I'm really impressed with, and I've gained a lot of respect out of you guys, y'all didn't complain, not one day. Mm-hmm. Not one day.
Impressive.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I changed up the set, changed up the song order. All right, cool. Whatever you want to do.
Nice.
I love that.
That's awesome.
So I've have that perspective now of the band that I do want, and the band that I did have is not the band that I want right now.
Right.
So I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving me that.
Team players
Team
go.
players,
Yes.
Hey, let's roll
That's
with
so
the
important.
punches.
Yeah.
And these guys are awesome. So that was cool about that because it's hard to manage 4 other guys. In a place that you're always at all the time, and the times are always changing. You play at 4:00, then you play at 9, then you play 11:30.
Yes.
It's always moving.
Yeah.
But they did great, so I'm just really happy with that. Now I know I can hit the road with these guys, and be perfectly fine.
That's awesome.
We did a 4-day run. Well, if we do a 6-day run, we go out to the West Coast. We go somewhere. I know we're going to be fine. I'll take care of them because I know they're not going to complain.
And that was a hell of a trial run there, buddy.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, for somebody to go, hey, here's a group of dudes, or you grabbed them, and let's go on a 22-hour haul.
Yeah.
And decide if we like
days.
each other.
Yep.
And,
12 days.
And then let's go hang out for 12 days, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch up the lineup,
Everything
and then
we're gonna do,
everything we're going to do.
And that was the cool part. And I said, look, if you guys can last Key West, then you deserve to be on the road.
Yeah.
If you can't, then that's going to tell you if the road is
It's
for
a
you
test.
or not.
This is a big test.
And it tested us too because on the way
yeah.
back from Florida, we got stuck in Baton Rouge. My Sprinter broke down. And we had to lay over.
Right.
And I felt bad. I wanted to get the boys home.
Right.
They were missing home. They were gone for 2 weeks. I wanted to get them.
Right.
And I told the boys, we went to go eat in the morning. I said, look, guys, if I had the money in the world, I would have flown you guys out of Baton Rouge. And I would have just stayed with the Sprinter and took it home. But I said, just don't have it. But thank you guys for being so kind and understanding.
Right.
Like, I promise you, I'm not lollygagging. We're trying to get this done so we can get home.
Right.
And I promise you, we're going to get home. So we stayed 1 day in Baton Rouge, woke up the next day, and got the Sprinter by 6:00 p.m. and we were right back home, in the morning, like whatever time that was. But I was like, you have my respect. You guys are awesome.
That's awesome. I don't know that there's too many people that I could ride with for 22 hours, much less
a
group of dudes.
We have this thing where we pass the phone around, and everybody plays a song on Spotify.
Nice.
But if they mess up and they press it, they skip a turn. You got to wait for your song to do it.
There
And
you
it
go.
kind of keeps the
Good job playing
the
games
flow.
while you're doing
it. Kind of helps when you're drinking, or it kind of helps
playing
when
I
you're on the
Spy
road.
and things like that.
Yeah, also, like whoever is the driver gets to pick the songs
Nice.
and whatever they have. It makes whatever makes you happy and whatever can make you drive 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
Do it. If
love
you need
it.
to pull over, what do you need?
Yeah.
You need anything?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Good. Awesome.
Good.
Sunflower seeds work perfect though to keep
I
you up.
am a dill pickle sunflower seed eating
Yeah,
machine, and you know who
Ranch.
started me on that? Robbie. And this was before they had them here. Because we'd go down to the coast all the time.
Oh yeah.
Port A, and they only had them down there. And
Really?
it got to the point where I would text him and I'm like, hey, are you down at the coast right now? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I need 2-3 bags, bring them, because they didn't have them here now. And I mean, it was like, this is ridiculous. Like,
I love 'em.
they were making fun of me here at the studio, and we're like, maybe you should get them to sponsor you or something, because I always have. There's a big old bag of them in my rig right now.
I need to add, I need to add that to my riders sunflower
Yeah,
seeds, because I
yes.
love when we're on the road, just a little coffee cup and
Oh yeah.
go.
I played baseball as a kid my
did too.
boys' baseball. So, I mean, we'd buy the big 5-gallon buckets of seeds.
I remember playing. I was in a traveling team up here in Austin. When I was living up here, a little kid. We would travel, and all the moms would give us these little baggies of gummy bears. And Quench drink and all. It was fun. Oak Hill was where I would play baseball. But yeah, I love sunflower seeds. It's great. I'm in. So, but all is good over here, though.
I love it.
Thank you for just kind of inviting me. Let me tell my story. It's kind of boring, but
it's really not, though. I just love to
dive in.
People, I always like to know how things get started and how things and where you're at. And so let's talk about your CD that you have out now.
Well, I have a few songs out, and I have How the River Flows was my last full album, and then we released an EP called The River Continues. And then now we're working on a new album, and we released a few songs, which is Go Getter and De Necesito, and then we're going to be releasing some more before the album drops in the summertime. And so that's the exciting part, but it's happening so fast.
I love it.
It took I went to go record this album last year on my birthday, and we just got back all the songs, and it takes a while when you have 14 tracks. Yeah. It's 14 songs. People think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I might be a little bit.
Hey.
But 14 songs.
We'll talk about that on a different show.
Yeah. Like 14 songs. So I'm like, wow, okay, we can release a few and then drop a whole album for these fine folks that have never heard of me or are expecting music. So I'm excited for that, but I'm like, holy crap, it's 4 months out? Oh man, okay, I got to get to work, but we already are working. We already are doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. It's called Pushing Borders, and it has that South Texas flair. When I say that, I mean accordion and just that country stuff. I really tested the board. I have to give it up to my producer. Big shout out to Roger Brown. He's really pushed that comfort, uncomfortableness of what I thought I wanted, and then I'm a guy that trusts the process.
Yes.
I'm that type of person. I will hear it out. I will try it. I'll do it. And then I'm like, okay, whether I like it or I don't, at least I gave it a shot.
There you go.
I can say that I gave it. So, this album is one of those where we push that uncomfortability for me.
Right.
And so now it's just see what happens. See what happens when the album comes out.
How long did you work on this album before it was... I just want to give everybody an idea on what it takes to really put an album together.
Well, we were probably writing for 6 months to a year, I think, before we found the songs we were looking for.
Got you.
And once we found what the idea of the album was, we just went after those songs. And so that was a cool thing about it. And now it's like, a whole year, I think, of writing. And then you have your songs and you're like, holy crap, okay, it's time to go in the studio.
Right.
Then you go in the studio, there for 2 days, whip out 14 songs, and then you go cut your vocals, and then you wait another 9 months, 10 months.
It's a hurry up and wait game.
But they are working their magic.
Oh, yeah.
The engineer on this album, Jeff Sylvie, did an amazing job. Roger did some of the background vocals. We had to get another guy. It's just a lot of moving parts.
There is.
And if you're not used to that, you feels like they're just dragging their feet, but they're all trying to make magic.
Yes.
Everybody's doing their job and making magic. So there's this is the first album I'm going to have like strings.
Nice.
An orchestra behind it.
I love it.
Very, very, very colorful.
Yes.
It's like so... that was the hard part, was the waiting. But once it's in my hands and I got the music, now let me go play.
Yes. Turn me loose.
I'm in the playground now.
Yeah.
I get the ball.
Right.
Let me do what I want with it, because that's going to make me happy.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I have to be happy.
Were you just ecstatic? I mean, explain to people when it's
album,
like literally it's like.
I got the album. I was listening to it. I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is what everybody get out of my way.
Yes.
I know what I want.
Right.
I know what kind of videos I want to do. I know what I want to do. This, and this. I want to release this, and this. Don't tell me anything. Your job is done. I am going to have fun.
Yes.
Please let me do that as an artist.
Turn me loose. Yeah.
And so that's the freedom that I have, and that gives me a lot of joy that they can trust me, because this is where when we've talked about this, the marketing side of my brain and the creativeness and how detailed I can be. It's like I really want to give the album its light and shine. And so I have those ideas of what I want to do, because these songwriters are great, and they deserve that recognition. Right. And they deserve the love of every song. Right. And so that's kind of my approach. God bless our songwriters. And so this was a good challenging process, and to finally get it done was fun. So I'm excited to release it finally. Well,
so
eventually.
From beginning to end, you say what, 2 years?
2 years,
two and a half years.
So a lot of people do it differently, but when you have a 14-track album, you kind of want to be very you want to be sure,
right?
1,000% sure. You don't want to be 90%. You want to be 1,000% sure this is the
way to do it. And
then you go back and you analyze everything. It's okay, I could have done this better, or maybe I could have blah blah blah. But then you think about all the other positives too,
right?
Like new music, another album,
right?
Another thing to go tour.
Right.
Another thing to go put on radio. Another good thing to get ready for.
I think a lot of people out there don't realize that the time that it takes, or the time that is involved, and what all is involved in putting an album together, but how quickly after that one is released, to how quickly you jump into another one, or even if...
Oh, yeah. I mean, the one thing I don't ever want to stop doing is making records.
Right.
Writing songs and making records and touring. Like that's all I want to do. If I can have the freedom to go put out an album, then start writing for another one, and then go put out another album right after that. That's what I want to do.
I love it.
Like I want to leave as many songs as I can out to people to listen to, with good substance, good songwriting, like good delivery, good subject matter, and just release it and go. That's all I want to do.
That was one of the first times that we sat down and visited. That was one thing that impressed me about you, was the fact that you always say, I want to leave the world with my music and let them carry it for as long as they possibly can, from generation to generation to generation.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're thinking that far ahead is so impressive.
Well, those are the stuff that I learned with the 90s country artists.
Right.
They had all the albums, and people are not against albums, but they just no value or no return. But I'm not when you go put out an album, I'm not looking for a huge return. I just want a good album.
Right.
I'll make it up eventually.
Right.
Like nowadays, let's say a typical album at an independent artist, 14 songs, probably cost you about $30,000.
Right.
Let's be honest, $30,000-$40,000 once you're done with all the marketing, all the duplications, or all that stuff that goes with the CDs, the physical part, and then all the advertisement, and then paying everybody, and then getting all this thing worked out. You're probably in the hole already, $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you're gonna make that money back on the streaming side. Maybe on your CDs, maybe.
And
but
that's something else that I don't think the world understands. It. I mean, and if it's not the day of where you had to go buy the CDs, or you had to go buy the vinyl and what have you to get.
And vinyl, you can probably get some really good stuff. But I mean, I'm just saying that you're not going to make it back up. So that 40, whatever that number is, the way I see it, and I might be wrong, and people may disagree, but that's money that I'm never going to get back. So let me do what I want.
Right.
Let me have the freedom to make that decision of what's going to make me happy.
Right.
I'm already $40,000 in the hole. Let me do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And not be in my way.
Right.
Because this is what's going to make me happy.
Right.
And then we're going to go tour. And we hope that we catch fire, or we hope that we catch attention, and let everything come back, and then we'll do it all over again. I don't care about that. Let me just go make some money that I can go make another album.
Right.
Let me go tour to save my money, so I know in the ballpark I need to be to go when I'm ready to make another album. I get to make it when I'm ready.
Right.
And so that's the kind of frustrating part that you deal with. But once you're on stage, all that goes away. By the way, like all that, you can have the most crazy day, and then once you hop on stage, you just
let your frustration out, just let everything out, and just
it's fun.
It's
exciting. So if you look at all these things, it can get very depressing. You think all this money spent, blah 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 blah, but you want to leave great songs behind, and that's kind of my box I have to check off when I'm writing.
Who would you say who left things behind for you? Who inspired you? I mean,
they haven't left. They haven't left yet. They haven't left yet. They haven't left this world. But like your George Straits, your Garth Brooks, your Alan Jackson, Dwight Yoakam, all these guys, everybody in the 90s, by the way, they all had great songwriters write songs. Like George, for instance, has amazing circle of songwriters who are timeless writers.
Right.
I want that.
Yeah.
I want to be in the room with those writers and write great songs.
You're right.
And just feel it just pour out, you know. And so those are the guys that I know I can go back and listen to their album back in 1992, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And be like, oh my God, that is a killer album. I can't believe that. Oh, that line right there just gave me goosebumps.
Right.
I wish I would have written that song. I wish I would have done this.
Right.
So you try to apply it today's world, today where we're at, and do that. But all those guys that wrote those hits back in the 90s are probably not doing it anymore. Those writers, because there's no money in it.
Right.
And I have to, that's what I'm saying. Whoever's left to write these songs was like my producer, Roger Brown, Tommy Connors, Jeff Sylvie. All these guys, they have had their time in making some massive hits.
Right.
So the fact that they're still doing it, allowing me to be a part of that, it's amazing. Like, I'm very grateful for that. So I'm like,
that.
Let's keep writing great songs. But that's just kind of how all that comes to be. But that's what my goal is, to leave behind great, well-written songs.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So where are you at from here? Where are you going? Where are we? You played?
So we have Rodeo Austin on Thursday. Then I have a few days off, and then we go to Oklahoma City with Tristan Matas, and then we go to Spring, Texas, and then we have another few days off, and then just keep hitting the road.
There you go.
Hitting the road. So hopefully we get to see more people at our shows.
Well, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so they can find me on my website, mattcastillomusic.com. Instagram is Matt Castillo Music. Facebook is Matt Castillo Music. All your Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, Tidal. You know, they don't have, didn't they used to have Google Music or something like that? They don't have that anymore. But anyways, all the streaming, anywhere you can find your music and you stream your music, you can find me under Matt Castillo.
Matt Castillo. Merch.
Merch on my
website. He has amazing merch.
Yeah.
See, my hat. I tried to show you all
earlier. Just in
case you didn't get it, there's another shot.
That's how we get down the road.
Yes.
As well.
It's amazing merch.
Thanks for having me
good
on the
merch.
Porch. It was fun.
I am so glad you were here. You're welcome on my porch anytime.
I would love to be back again. Round two. We'll do this like in 6 months to see how far we've come.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate them listening. I thought this was going to be a little bit more crazier. It's kind of calm and tame. Maybe the next one will be wild.
I can make it as wild as you want. This is actually very, I usually have Kel here, and Kel's a little bit of a spaz all the time. Right. I love her. And yes, we miss you on the porch, Kel. But it was really cool. I just love to have, being in the music side and telling everybody. I just want everybody to see.
Well, it means a lot. And thank you for letting me tell my story. Hopefully it continues to be told.
It will be.
There's
not a doubt in my mind. There's not a doubt in my mind. You've got big places to go, things to do. You haven't even put a dent in it yet.
No, not yet. No.
Let's go.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. You guys, hey, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining Rambling Gypsy Podcast. Like, share, follow, do all the things. Y'all go see my guy, Matt Castillo. Yeah, you can find him everywhere, all over.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.